Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangster. Yeah, good morning and welcome back. That is right. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning, Monday through Friday, right here on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yeah, all that's true. And the man on the other microphone, he's your favorite patriot. He is a true-blooded American, bleeds red, white, and blue, blah, 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 blah. Hey, it's your boy, Chris America, coming
Dang.
to you live.
I was there. Why did I turn off the mic? I turned on the mic to test it like 6 minutes ago. I don't know why I turned it off instead of turning off my real mic. But yes, it is your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Tuesday, June the 25th, 2019. Nailed it. And do not blah, 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 blah my intro.
I can
How rude
blah,
of you,
blah,
sir.
blah, 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 whatever I want to blah, 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 blah. Chris America, that's what I can do.
Well, then, you know what I'm going to do to you, Loudbeard?
Go for it.
I'm going to
Pull
bring
the trigger.
I'm going to bring you some sad news.
Of course you are. Bringing us down first thing this
Yep.
morning. Thanks a lot.
This is actually 2-day-old news, and I decided to save it because yesterday was
Cutting
a Monday.
edge.
I didn't need to bring down Monday any more than Monday can already be brought down. Ooh, sorry, I thought I was going to burp. There it is. And the news here is that Beth Chapman from Dog the Bounty Hunter is in a medically induced a coma for throat cancer, I believe it is. Did you
Oh, that's
ever
the,
watch
the wife, right?
Yeah, that's
Dog's
the wife.
Yep.
Yeah, did you ever watch that show?
You know, I don't think I watched like a full episode of it, but maybe caught bits and pieces here and there. It was kind of an interesting little show, but
Yeah.
you know, once he
it
got
was
into that racist rant, I mean, he kind of was put off,
Well,
you know?
I
Put off
have
by
good-
a little bit.
I have a good story about that. I used to be full on like guilty pleasure Dog the Bounty Hunter. Used to watch it all the time. Back in that was like 08, 09 kind of years. I remember I remember what
sounds
apartment
about
I was
right.
in, so it had to be 07 to 08 because that's where I watched it. And my boy Patrick was over, and he's sitting there. We're watching it together, and he's sitting there saying that he would not let Dog date any of his daughters because he thinks they're racist. And him being a black man, he's like, that's why I wouldn't let him date any of my daughters, not Dog, but any of Dog's sons. I'm like, man, that's kind of stereotype, don't you think? Like, just because they have tattoos and long hair and like they look like that doesn't mean they're automatically racist. He's like, nah, man, I got a feeling. And literally like a week or two after that racist rant gets posted, and he's like, see, I told you. I'm like, no, Dog, why? And then like you, I just stopped watching. Got turned
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Show kind of run its course anyways. All those reality shows like that, when you go through like a full-on like day of binging them. I used to be that way with Storage Wars too. That was another guilty pleasure of mine. And then you spend like one weekend where you don't do anything but watch that marathon of Storage Wars, and then you're just burnt out from it. You're like, okay, I'm done. That's how you break yourself of a show that you're kind of got a guilty pleasure of. Just
Yeah,
watch
because a lot of these shows are pretty cheesy, and they have that same formula where they do
Yeah.
the same thing over and over, but it tricks you because they just change it up a little bit each show. And then after watching it so many times, you're like, wait a second. They fooled me. It's the exact same thing over and over and over again.
And then with Dog, they would always make it to where you would think like, oh my God, it's finally a dog's about to get shot or something. Like they'd make it sound so crazy before the commercial break. And then you get back in and there's still like all that crazy music, and then the guy just like gives himself up.
Yeah.
Not that I want to see Dog get shot, but you know, the thrill of it. Like what's gonna happen
that's
next?
your dog right there. That's your
Yeah.
dog.
Kind of like that High Wire act that happened Sunday. Did you see that in New York? ABC
I saw
made a
like
big deal about it.
yeah, I saw stuff on social media about it. I didn't watch it. But yeah, was it like a couple when it was going across on the high wire,
Yeah,
weren't they?
and it was like a 2-hour show. I watched some of it with Little America because I thought it would just be like a half hour, and we get to the payoff so Landon can see his first high wire act in his life. And it took like 2 hours. So finally, I sent him to bed, and I kind of watched a little bit more, and it was just, why do they do that with those things? Where they make such a huge deal about it? Just make it a half-hour show. Like, give me the background story, tell me how you set it up, and then let's get to the payoff of them walking across New York City or Times Square.
Well, just think of this as a content producer. You have to know that it's the summertime. Most of your big shows are on a hiatus. We'll come back in the fall. Fall's when you have like all the real big season premieres and all that. So right now it's more of a filling time for a lot of these stations. So they got to figure out what to fill in these primetime slots. And they struggle. They struggle. I mean,
Yeah.
Right now, Bachelorette was on last night. They're running Bachelorette 2 hours. I mean, you're just giving the girl gives a guy roses based on whether she liked going on a date with them or not. Like, does that require 2 hours? Yes.
I mean,
yes, apparently it does.
Luke
but
P needs 2 hours, doesn't he?
he needs 2 hours by himself in a corner because he sucks.
Did you watch it? How's Luke P doing?
No, I didn't watch it. I'm over
okay.
it. Yeah, it was
We
a
need to get
it was
DD
a
on
fad.
the show. Give us updates.
I know she could give us a. I heard
She
her
hates
laughing
Luke
out
P.
loud watching it last night. She was definitely getting into it, though. She said last week's episode just kind of lacked some real juiciness, so she was
Yeah.
hoping for some juiciness last night. Can't say if there was or wasn't. I was asleep before the show was over, so who knows what ended up happening. But spoiler alert: somebody gets a rose.
And somebody goes home.
Yeah. Yep. There's the premise of the show. See, that's a show that you know what's going to happen, but still people watch it. And it's all about the drama.
It's all about that drama,
People
man.
love that drama. I'm going to segue over to some drama for you, Chris America. The NCAA is back at it again, making themselves look real good in front of the world. So NCAA says California schools could be banned from state championships or national championships if state passes compensation bill. NCAA President Mark Emmert said that the California schools could be prohibited from participating in NCAA championships as a result of the state's pending bill, which would allow college athletes to earn compensation for the use of their own name, image, or likeness. Wow, good look for Mark Emmert, huh? Or not. Whatever you say, man. I get it. Well, Chris America decided to take a snooze. His alarm was going off, so he hit snooze on himself, turned his mic off, fell asleep, went into a coma. But I do have to say that reading up on this whole situation, you realize the greed in college sports. Mark Emmert being the main head to this beast, the one that needs to be chopped off the most. And the problem is I'm sure after Mark Emmert, there's more like him. It's just like FIFA.
That's a first for me. I could hear you. My mic was on. It didn't say that I lost connection. It just nothing was coming through the mic. I had an
Weird.
epic award-winning rant too about the NCAA, and then you started to be like, "What? I guess not. I guess you can't hear me." And then I thought you were messing with me, pulling the old messing with Anthony Mack, and then I was like, "No, my microphone just doesn't work."
Well, I know that rant was you being in favor of Mark Emmert and how much you love him and
Oh,
what
yeah,
he
always.
does is so good for the college athlete.
Don't
right?
play the athletes. Yeah, they don't deserve it. They already get an education. What more do they need? Gosh. No, the NCAA needs to get its act together, and they need to figure this thing out because you're going to basically ban an entire state. I don't think they'll do it. I think they want USC and UCLA. Those are big-time brands that they're going to figure out a way to work this out. They have to.
Yeah, there's too many big-time brands out there on the West Coast. Like you said, USC and UCLA alone.
Right.
But, there's a lot of other big schools, and it's not just football, right? So we talk about UCLA and USC, big-time football programs, also college basketball programs. But when you think of all of these sports that people are involved with, swimming and track and field, and you could go on for days just naming the sports. And how are you going to tell those athletes that because of a state bill that you're not going to allow them to compete in a national championship? I mean, to me, the whole thing is blasphemous, but we already know that from the beginning because this has been a crooked program or a crooked organization for a very long time. They don't look at what's best for the college athlete. They don't care if the college athlete can earn compensation for name, image, and likeness. They don't want that. They want it all for themselves. They want their pockets just to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Mark Emmert wants his 24-karat gold yacht that sunk to the bottom of the ocean. He wants that to stay at the bottom of the ocean so he can buy a new 24-karat gold yacht so he can put it back in the ocean and have a second one go to the bottom because he doesn't care about money. He just cares about spending it and making it, and he doesn't care about the athletes. That's all I got to say.
No, they don't care about the athletes at all. They say they do, but they don't. They don't really. Not at all.
Chris America, I don't even know what to say.
They got rid of my video game because of this shenanigans, and it doesn't stop, and I needed it to stop. I need them to get their act together.
Well, hopefully, this is one. I got to praise somebody in this whole situation, and if I'm going to praise somebody, it is going to be the state of California. The state of California is like, you know what? There's something smelly with this whole situation with the NCAA. They're really letting down the player athlete that they cannot earn money with their likeness. So we're going to go ahead and pass a bill, and they're working on it. It's pending still. But if you're a voter and you go out there and you see that, what do you think you're going to vote for? You're going to vote for this bill to pass. So I think it's going to pass.
Maybe in California, but there's a lot of people who still think that these athletes don't deserve to get paid for various reasons. I've gotten in arguments with people, and it's really on both sides of the political aisle of conservative and liberals. I've been surprised by liberals who say they're against it. I've been surprised by conservatives who say they're for it. To me, I just think it's no longer the idea that we had it as where it's just truly amateur sports. Like college football and college basketball, for sure, are no longer amateur sports. They are a multi-billion-dollar industry between the two of them combined. And it's no longer, I guess, you can no longer say that there's just not enough money to pass around anymore. When the SEC and the Big Ten are raking in $100 million a year in media money alone between the two of them. And so if they're going to sit there and say, well, we can't pay, like, what about the UCFs or the FAUs of the world? Like, they can't afford that. Well, then if you're really, truly concerned about those schools, then why don't you share all of that money that you guys are making at the top? Or you guys create your own little division where you pay players and do it that way. But they're not going to do it that way because they need those smaller schools to use as a legal shield to say, look, they can't afford it, so we can't pay the players.
Yeah, the whole thing's just disgusting, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We've put up this whole, we want the amateurism to stay, but we want to make tons of money off of you.
Like, do you really care if the quarterback at UCF is making $500,000 a year?
No.
Like, do you lose anything from that?
Absolutely not. It doesn't matter at that point. I mean, we're looking at this as there's still the game probably won't change at all. A lot of times these guys are getting paid behind the scenes, and I say a lot of times. There's been some cases where, there's a bag of money that just shows up at somebody's doorstep, or somebody's mom gets a brand new house, or whatever happens.
Somehow they happen to be able to get a really good deal on Alexis.
Right, yeah.
They're just that good of a haggler.
It was the employee discount. That's what we'll call that. And these athletes are getting these things, but it's illegal by, NCAA rules. But it happens, and it continues to happen. And instead of the NCAA figuring out a way to make this work where instead of them making all the money and all these big conferences and all these big schools making all the money, let's put a little bit back, just a little bit back in the pockets of the athletes, just a little bit, especially since they're the ones that are making you all that money. But no, we can't have that. We cannot have that. So again, I applaud the state of California for at least making it a bill. Even if it doesn't pass, it is going to be something that continuously is talked about. And it's like the marijuana bills that happen in all these states. A lot of times they start out as medical marijuana and then they're going to recreational, and it may take a couple years to get these things passed through. But you're seeing each and every state follow suit. So maybe this is something where California does it first, and you start seeing other states kind of follow that lead. And once they do follow that lead, all of a sudden the NCAA is going to lose their power over this. So they're trying to say, okay, hold on. Let's stop this now before it becomes an epidemic. Let's put this in its place. So let's tell these athletes and tell this state that we will not have them participate in our championships if you think they deserve money. And come on, this is just ridiculous. And I don't think I've seen anybody arguing for Mark Emmert in this case. I mean, I know there's probably some knuckleheads out there on social media putting in their 2 cents, but when you read what Mark Emmert's saying, that he's going to ban these athletes from being in national championships because they're in the state of California, like, come on, that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you think this is kind of a power move? Because you said it hasn't been passed yet, right?
Yeah, it's under the word pending right now when I'm reading the story. So
perhaps maybe Mark Emmert's thinking, let me get ahead of this thing, and let me just kind of threaten that the California schools can't get in, and so that way the lawmakers of California will think twice before they add this thing in.
Yeah, no, and we've got a tweet coming in right now to kind of, I guess, agree with you, Chris America, and that's Memphis Spence, good friend of the show. Thank you, Memphis. His show is on every day at noon on his station, Sports Radio America, or here at 12 Ounce Sports Radio. But Memphis Spence chiming in saying the NCAA is having a power struggle right now with California. Yeah, they're trying to get ahead of it. They're trying to show their power. They're trying to be, I guess, a step ahead of California, but it might be too late.
Yeah. Mark Emmert also has to know that he works for the colleges, and I feel like the politicians win out in this one because they're the ones that have more clout than what Mark Emmert has. And so when you tell, what is that? Is there 4 Pac-12 teams in California, I believe? So you got Stanford, Cal, USC, and UCLA. Am I missing anybody? I think that's it.
Nah, I think that sounds about right.
So you have that, and you're going to have, that's what, a third of the Big 12 that is no longer allowed to play for championships. I don't think the Big 12 is going to stand for that. So you got at least 12 schools there that are going to come out. Teams like Oregon, Arizona State, these are big names in football and basketball. You have obviously the 4 that I mentioned. You work for them. They don't work for you, really. You can sit there and make all of this flexing and stuff, but I don't know how that pans out. Now, they obviously need to get help from all the other schools and all the other presidents, but you're right. This is going to be an interesting power struggle to see how this pans out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the government finally stepping up and coming in and making a stand here for these student athletes, because we all know the power of Mark Emmert. There's only one entity in the world that could change that, and that would be, I say the government, but it's really the people, right? Because the people are the ones that vote for this. It's the voice. If we make our voice loud enough, and it can be heard from far away, and it can be heard from the mountaintops, and it can be heard from anywhere and everywhere, then all of a sudden change will happen. And you have to not be silenced. You have to make your voice be heard. And if you can do that, we will see change. And Mark Emmert, he can only push it down so much and so far before it finally overtakes him. And I think this is the first step in the right direction to overtake that corrupt and that crazy and that lunatic Mark Emmert, who I do not like very much.
No, I know. We've had him on our show a couple of times. Seems like a douchebag.
Oh, yeah. It's more than just a dude. It's bad. It's bad. Oh, Chris America, I think that's about all I can talk about Mark Emmert right now. Do you have any other final closing thoughts that you would like to say to Mark Emmert?
No, I think I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well, last night, award ceremony for the NBA. So we could talk a few minutes here about these awards. So your man, I'm going to start out with I'm going to not bury the lead. I'm starting out with the big man. Your favorite NBA player, well, I'm saying that it may not be true, but your favorite NBA player, Giannis, wins MVP. He slightly edges out James Harden, and he's the number one player in the NBA. Do you think this was the right player to be chosen for this award?
I think so. I think he had. I mean, you can really go with these MVPs. You really can go with anybody, especially in basketball. You're splitting hairs, so I'm good to see a new guy in there. The NBA needs to continue to pump Giannis up, continue to get his name to be built into a brand, not only just in the NBA but in America and the mainstream America, and get those casual to non-fans to figure out who this Giannis guy is, especially since he's kind of hidden away up in Milwaukee. You need to try to really magnify who this guy is as much as you can, and I think the MVP will do just like that for him.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, I think it actually helped Giannis that Harden won it last year. I know that the voting doesn't always work this way, but once a player wins it, a lot of times if there's another guy just as deserving, he'll get a little bit of a step ahead because they want to see this first-time MVP. And this is Giannis's first MVP to win. Harden won it last year, and so now Harden kind of could take a step back, and Giannis deserved it. I mean, his team had the best record in the NBA in the regular season, and he was the big majority reason why they had such a great season. And I think it was the right move. Now, James Harden's second place. He gets the second most amount of first-place votes, and he leads the way with second-place votes. No other player in the NBA got any first or second place votes. Third place votes went to Paul George, Jokic, and Curry. So a pretty well-rounded group here. So we're saying the 5 best players in the NBA this season were Giannis, Harden, Paul George, Nikola Jokic, and Steph Curry. And I'd have to agree with that. I think the only other player I might throw in here is Kawhi Leonard, but that's probably more because of the magical playoff run and maybe less about the regular season because he did take quite a few games off, resting, rehabbing, and doing all of his business. So feel pretty good about where this ended up.
Now, Loudbeard, after we've seen how Curry reemerged back as this MVP-type status player in the finals without Kevin Durant, he's been kind of non-existent since Durant's been there in the MVP conversation. We haven't really talked about Curry the last 2-3 seasons. He did win that unanimous MVP a few years ago. Do you think he puts his name back in there and skyrockets back to the top of the MVP conversation next year without Durant being able to play next year, whether he stays or goes in Golden State?
Oh, yeah. I think Curry right now would be the odds-on favorite, in my opinion, because he's going to have an opportunity to shine the way he did previously when he was an MVP. He's going to shine in a way that is going to really help carry Golden State. He's going to have the majority of the ball, he's going to have the ball in his hands the majority of the time. He's going to take the most shots. And, whether Klay comes back, whether Kevin Durant comes back, which, Kevin Durant and Klay both are going to have injuries. So if they come back, it would be later in the season. They may not come back at all. It's going to be Steph Curry's show. And he is going to put on a show for everybody. And we saw that in the playoffs. We saw that in the finals when it was just him and it wasn't Kevin Durant. He took that team over, and he took the game over, and you could see that he has that potential to do that. So we're going to see the best Steph Curry next season and that we've seen in a very, very long time, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait, man.
All right, so some of these other awards that passed down here. So Rudy Gobert wins the Defensive Player of the Year for the second straight year. He edges out Paul George and Giannis. I don't think any argument here. Guy's just a total block machine. He is a defensive mastermind, and he is one of the reasons the Jazz are so good. So Rudy Gobert winning that Defensive Player of the Year. And here's another player that you really like, Chris America. You became a big Toronto Raptors fan in this playoff push. Pascal Siakam wins NBA's Most Improved Player Award, winning it over D'Angelo Russell and De'Aaron Fox. Do you think he was the right player to win this award?
What was the award again?
Most Improved Player.
Yeah, I think so. Other than, no, I can't think of anybody else on the Magic. I was trying to think of somebody on the Magic, but no, nobody on the Magic was most improved. I guess
Yeah, going for the
maybe.
homer.
I guess maybe Isaac was most improved.
Yeah, well, I like this pick with Siakam. The Magic, unfortunately, I can't look at anybody on that team and say they were
Siakam's
most
definitely the
improved.
best,
It's
dude.
tough.
Like nobody
Yeah.
knew who Siakam was going into the season, and now he's a semi-household name.
Yep. He's
I say
first
semi
player.
because most people didn't in America didn't pay attention to the finals. It was all Canada.
Okay.
I mean, it
Everybody
was
was already
the
checked out.
finals. The finals didn't do well in ratings here in the United States.
Okay.
It's not knocking. It's just a fact.
All right. So first player for the Raptors to ever win a NBA Most Improved Player, and first player from Africa to ever win the award. So kind of double decker here. And let's see what other awards were handed out. We got a couple here. I'll go quickly through them. Doncic beats out Trae Young for the Rookie of the Year. So that was a little bit of a close race. I think a lot of people really felt that both these guys were pretty even. So it could have been a coin flip. Trae Young, Luka Doncic. So Lou Williams wins Sixth Man. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson win Lifetime Achievement Award. And Coach of the Year ends up going to Mike Budenholzer, who wins it for the second time in his career. First time with the Hawks back in 2014 and 15, and this season with the Bucks. So that was kind of the rundown of the majority of the main awards there. So Lou Williams, Sixth Man of the Year. I think that was the one I missed on my list here. Any surprises there? Anything worth note for you, Chris America?
No, not really. I'm not really big into the award stuff. It's kind of lame.
Yeah, I know you're kind of not a big part of the sporting events that are non-sporting events that become sporting events. Yeah, and that's what this ended up being. Now, I listened. They did the Lifetime Achievement Award with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I listened to them talk during this award, and it was pretty. I guess it brought back a little nostalgia because the two of them, to me, represented what the 80s and the early 90s were in NBA, and that was this just huge rivalry between two of the biggest personalities in the game. And Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, I think, will always go down as some of the best and funnest players to watch. I was fortunate enough to catch some of their career, especially towards the end. I was a little young in the early parts of their career to catch any of it, being baby and not born type ages. And but catching some of that. So definitely a great Lifetime Achievement Award there. Well, Chris America, we got about 3 minutes left before we go to our commercial break. So we're going to switch gears here and get out of the NBA for a few minutes. And I think I'm going to talk, we'll talk a little bit about Tiger Woods because that's also one of your favorite topics.
Tiger
You're big
Woods,
Tiger
y'all.
Woods goods. That's right. So this was an interesting situation. So Tiger Woods, he's not, they call him an owner of a restaurant, but he's really an investor with a restaurant. And he was charged, or at least put into this lawsuit of wrongful death when a patron of said restaurant ended up passing away from a drunk driving incident. So because Tiger Woods is an investor, the lawsuit named him and said he was partially responsible because he owned the restaurant where this said person drank too much and then left the restaurant and unfortunately passed away. And in this case, this is tough because, Tiger Woods, he's not going there. He's not running the restaurant. He wasn't at the restaurant. He's just putting his money into a restaurant. And to be accused of a wrongful death lawsuit is kind of tough, I think. But good news is it finally gets dropped because it looks like the world is a good place. And they said, you know what? It's not Tiger Woods' fault. Maybe it was somebody particularly at that restaurant. We can blame that person. But we're not going to say it was Tiger Woods who was at fault for this guy's passing away.
Yeah, I think that's just one of those things where the lawyer finds the biggest fish and throws the name in there to see what happens. I think the lawyer knows that it's not going to stick, but they're like, hey, maybe we'll just luck out on this one. You can win the lottery if you don't play, kind of deal.
Yeah, and I can imagine if you are somebody with a lot of money or somebody with a big name, you probably get caught into a lot of these frivolous lawsuits. Now, it's not frivolous because of the severity of it. Someone did lose their life, and I don't want to take that away.
Yeah.
But it's frivolous as far as we're now roping somebody into something that really had nothing to do with it because they are just a investor into this entity. And I would think as a, let's see, athlete, actor, comedian, guy with a lot of money, any of those things, you're probably getting roped into numerous lawsuits each year. So I guess eventually you get thick skin to that, I would guess. But, man, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, I think after a while, I think, guys like Tiger Woods probably have so many lawsuits against them from time to time that they don't even know that they have them or that they're going on. I think it was Tiger Woods. I don't remember who it was, but I remember one time somebody's like, oh, this is going to be a distraction for the athlete. And I sat there and I thought, these guys either don't know or don't care. They pay people to take care of that stuff for them, and they trust whoever they hire to take care of that for him. So you have to imagine that Tiger Woods has a very, very good law or legal team to back him up, that they handle all of that business, and they only tell him things when he needs to be told what's going on with him, or, hey, we've come up with this settlement arrangement for this case. This is what happened, Tiger. What do you think? Give me the final call. And then Tiger makes the final call, and then he goes about his business. I think the last time Tiger Woods worried any amount that enough to distract him was when his wife was, I don't know if it's suing him, but divorcing him and taking half of his billions of dollars.
Yeah,
that's probably the
it's
last
like
time
running
Tiger
a
Woods
corporation.
cared. Yeah.
Yeah, Tiger Woods himself is like running a corporation. You have to have your own lawyer team. You have to have your own, people that handle everything for you. And you're right. The CEO doesn't always know every little detail of the minutia going on in your corporation, and that's what's the deal with Tiger.
Yeah. I don't think he knew or even really cared to know. It was just one of those things where he probably found out, like the rest of us, that he was being sued, but like through the news.
That's true. Well, Chris America, it looks like we're up against that commercial break. On the flip side, I'm going to tell you which big-time MMA fighter got called out and was told that he doesn't have the balls to step back into the ring or octagon or whatever you call it. We'll talk about that when we return. Hey, Kawhi, what are you laughing at, man? This isn't funny. Fantasy sports reimagined. FanDuel, that's what I'm talking about. It is more than just fantasy sports. It's the best way to watch the games, win real cash, and bring the action right to your living room. Just choose a contest, make your picks, watch, and win. And if you go to FanDuel.com/STR today, you can get a $5 deposit bonus. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/STR. Come on, man. This is not a laughing matter. If you've been listening to Scout Team Radio for a long time, you know that myself, Loudbeard, has placed a bet or two in his day. That's right, I've lost the beard bet, I lost the romper bet, but one place I don't like losing is when I bet money, and I can easily do that at MyBookie. That's right, you can go to mybookie.ag, use promo code 12OZSports, and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Hey, guess what? That is a lot of money. Do it.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst."
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune into us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Thank you all for listening in. We appreciate it. Once again, you are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning, Monday through Friday, right here on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. We also simulcast on the Full Press Radio Network. And getting some feedback here. It's not good. Got to turn this feedback off. And we are part of the Barn Burner Podcast Network. You can find all of them wherever you find Barn Burners at, wherever you find Full Press Radio Networks at, probably their websites. Yeah, you can do that. We're also a podcast, so each and every live episode, if you can't catch it live, you can go back and listen to the greatness each and every morning and go on to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, anywhere you find a podcast, and just search Scout Team Radio, or go to our website, scoutteamradio.com, to check us out. Lastly, get social with us. We had Memphis Spence tweeting in this morning. Thank you out there, Memphis Spence. We appreciate it. Hit us up on Twitter, at Scout Team Radio. We will read your tweets live on the air. We will talk about your topics, your subjects, any of that good stuff. So make sure you do all of that. So I got a topic that gets you all excited, Chris America. I hope you're easily excitable this morning on this beautiful Tuesday morning, June 25th. You are? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, John Jones, your favorite UFC fighter.
Yes.
One of the greatest of all times.
Yes.
He does
the
have a
greatest
little
of all
bit.
time.
He does have, there's a little asterisk by his name there, but that's okay. We won't get into all of that mess. He comes out and he starts talking about Daniel Cormier again.
Yeah,
I feel like these two just have a constant battle with each other. It's definitely an ongoing thing. And he says that he doesn't think Daniel Cormier would drop down to fight him. Now, Cormier came out and said he would drop down to 205 to fight John Jones. And John Jones comes out and he says Cormier does not have the balls to drop down to 205 to fight John Jones. So to me, those are fighting words, which, when these two guys are fighters, that's kind of what you say. But do you think that Daniel Cormier has the balls to drop down to 205 to fight John Jones?
I think he does, because as much as I don't like Daniel Cormier, he hasn't ducked John Jones at all. I think he's talked a lot of trash, and then he shows up in the ring and gets his ass beat. But ducking him is not one of the things. Now, he has been ducking Stipe, I feel like, and that's because I don't know. I don't know why Stipe hasn't had a chance to fight DC yet. But it feels like DC's been ducking Stipe, and maybe he'll use Jones to duck Stipe again. Plus, that'll be a bigger payday for DC as well. I just don't know if I want to see this fight again. I don't feel like Jones has anything left to prove to DC other than just kicking his ass without having steroids in his system or any sort of drugs in his system, and just to say, like, look, no matter what, I can beat you up. And that it has nothing to do with anything other than just the fact that I'm a much better fighter than you.
All right, so Daniel Cormier, last time he fought John Jones, was at 251. Now, do you think he can drop down to 205?
No.
I mean, do you think his willpower will allow him?
Last time he fought Jones, he was at 251. He had to be at 205 because they fought at a 205 weight class.
Maybe last time he fought, he was at 251. Maybe I read that wrong.
Yeah, it was probably when he was a heavyweight. I mean, Jones is or Cormier is a big guy, but he's not a muscular guy. So a lot of that is just fat and water weight. So I think he could cut it. It would take him a little bit. I wouldn't recommend, signing up for the fight for October and then cutting 50 pounds between now and then. I mean, you can do it. It's just not healthy. So yeah, I don't know, man. Am I getting an echo, or is that just me?
That's just you.
Okay, I can hear my voice, so it's kind of weird.
Oh, I hate that. Throws you off big time, doesn't it?
Yeah, you heard that feedback. My mixer's being a little wonky right now.
Yeah, I did. I heard that on the when you got brought in. Okay, so other MMA news. So moving on from John Jones and Daniel Cormier, it seems like that is a broken record that we've seen 100 different times. Jose Aldo, he comes out and says that he signs an extension with UFC after previous rumors were that he was going to retire from mixed martial arts and go into the boxing realm. he decides to put those retirement talks aside and signs an 8-fight extension with UFC. So we're going to see a lot more of Jose Aldo here in the near future.
Jose Aldo. Another guy that I don't know. 8 fights? I hope he comes back. I hope he can get back to his old form because he is a fun fighter to watch. We just need some newer talent, I think, to come in and infuse it. I mean, if we're still talking Jones DC, that's really because Jones has no one left to fight in 205. We just need some bigger talent, and I feel like we should have it because MMA is a lot bigger of a thing now. So you would think there'd be more athletes being developed into great fighters than it would have been, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, where MMA was still kind of a niche sport. Now I feel like it's a little bit more mainstream, and there should be a lot more talent and a lot more names. And right now, I don't know that we have them. At least
there
in the weight
really,
classes
there
that
really
we
isn't.
need to have them.
I agree. I think that's what UFC's got to continue to do is develop the names. It's not about. I think the talent's there, though, not up to John Jones's level, but I think the talent's getting there. It's just you don't know who these guys are. And it seems like to develop somebody to the point where they are a household name like a John Jones or a Conor McGregor, just as an example, they have to fight, 15, 20 times, and they have to really make a name for themselves to get till they get to that point. So if you don't have any names now, it could be a year or two before you get somebody coming up through the ranks that you can really consider the next big thing. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's the challenge for UFC is who is that next big name? How are you going to develop them, and what are you going to turn them into? And for the record, you were correct. Daniel Cormier in his last heavyweight fight was at 251, so he would need to drop 251 to 205. That's a pretty considerable drop. That would be...
You're talking about 45-plus pounds.
Yeah, that would be tough. I would say that would be tough. And maybe John Jones realizes that, and that's why he's calling him out.
No, I think John Jones just knows he can kick his tail in.
Okay, sure.
Elaborate, is that all your MMA news?
That is all my MMA news, yes.
Okay. I'm going to switch gears here on you, and you can switch my gears.
You can switch my gear anytime.
We don't really talk fantasy football on this show, right? Because neither one of us really care to talk about it that much.
Yeah, because it's
We're
a
not
giant
really
rabbit
experts. Hole. It's a giant rabbit hole. It gets kind of boring and everything else. But we're going to talk some fantasy football. Well, I'm not going to talk fantasy football, and you're not going to talk fantasy football. We're going to turn to the leading fantasy football expert. He's been a big name in fantasy football for at least the last 10 or 11 years. And that, of course, is one O.J. Simpson. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. After last week, I got a lot of comments from football fans telling me, Juice, come on, fantasy, you got to draft a running back first. And normally I would go along with that, except in the case of Patrick Mahomes. Now, there was only one quarterback within 100 points of him last year, and that was 93 points behind him. Even Tom Brady, maybe the greatest quarterback ever, was roughly 175 points behind him. And Drew Brees, the guy who led my fantasy teams to 3 out of 4 championships, was roughly 150 points behind him. You can't make up that separation anywhere else in any other position. Look at the running backs. The top 4 guys were within 30 points of one another. And you got all of these great young guys coming, Chubb and Jones and a Mack. I mean, some great young guys who could be Bill Kyle backs. And don't forget, Ingram is going to be a feature back in Baltimore. That helps Kamara, who was last year anyway, my star guy. He'll get the ball more. And Le'Veon Bell is coming. So you can get a top running back in that second round. Now, on another note, when I came into the league, I went through a little bit of culture shock. Not because I was born in San Francisco and raised there and went to USC, LA, and then ended up in upstate New York. It was because of the locker room. The locker room was different. I wasn't prepared for it. You had black guys in the locker room who had never played football with white guys before. And you had white guys from big colleges who had never played with black guys before. And they came with all kind of attitudes and opinions and thoughts on things, but we had to put it all aside. You had to put it aside if you're going to be a team and have any chance of winning. And I'm pretty sure that was the case everywhere, all over sports back then. I'm just saying. All right, fantasy football soon. Take care.
Oh, OJ Simpson, you're becoming my new grandpa.
The juice is loose.
The juice is loose, man. So what did you think of the Twitter or the fantasy advice? Take Mahomes number 1. You can get a running back in the second round.
I think it's fantastic advice. I mean,
Yeah.
he's right. Mahomes is 93 points ahead of any other quarterback. If he even comes close to duplicating his season, he would be the best player to select, 1 overall. The problem is he'll probably be gone by the time you select, right? Isn't that typically how that works? The player you want, the number 1 guy, he's usually gone early.
But he's right, though. Everybody else takes running backs. So if you have like the 8th through 14th pick, depending on how big your league is, Mahomes might not be on the board. But if you have a top 4, maybe top 5, you might get lucky to have Mahomes on the board while everybody's taking, the Alvin Kamaras and the Christian McCaffreys. And do you think Todd Gurley's going to go high this year, or do you think people will be scared away by his playoff production? Or
I think he'll fall a little bit farther in the first round. I think he's still top talent,
right,
but I just don't think he's going to be top 3. I think he falls a little bit. So,
Do you think people take Le'Veon top 5?
Yeah, I do.
Most drafts. Okay.
I think
you don't
they
think
do.
people are scared off by the year off and the fact that he plays for the Jets now?
Maybe a little bit.
Would you take
It's going to be
Le'Veon
a weird
if you
draft.
have the 5th pick, and let's say Mahomes is off the board, Kamara is off the board, Christian McCaffrey's off the board. Obviously, Saquon Barkley's probably going to be in there. Do you take Le'Veon Bell with your 5th pick?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. He scares me a little bit just being that season off. And you're
But
right.
if you
with
have like
the Jets,
if you have like the 10th through 14th pick, you probably take him
yeah, absolutely.
because
Same
you
thing
know
with
he's not
Todd
going to be around
Gurley.
second round.
Yeah. Yep. No,
All right,
I'm 100% with you.
Who are you scared off more of, Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell? If those two guys are on the board, they're the best 2 running backs in your mind. Who do you take?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Gurley really makes me nervous that how he played in the Super Bowl and just how he looked in that playoff run. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a slide off there. I think I'd take Bell over Gurley. I do. I honestly do.
Yeah.
It's kind of the scary prospect, and that may my mind may change as it gets closer. But as of right now, at least Le'Veon Bell's healthy and he's rested. He could come out and tear it up, and Jets don't have that many other options. He could be like 80% of their offense.
Yeah. I think I'd take Gurley just because I know I've seen Gurley in that system, and even though he had a bad playoff run, it could have been an injury that we didn't know about. It could have been nerves. It could have been anything else. But I do know that regular season Gurley in this offense is a monster. Where Le'Veon Bell, as much as I love him, as much as I think he's one of the best running backs, I still don't know what he looks like in the Jets system. I think that people are going to stack the box, but he's still good for those swing passes, and I think Sam Darnold can at least complete those.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of that safety valve for Darnold. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel good about Bell. Now that the more I'm talking about him, I'm hyping myself up. It's good stuff right there, Chris America.
And then I love how he's like, now let me ramble on about my past and tell you about my past. But he did have like a good message, like no matter how much you disagree with somebody or how much of a differences you have with somebody, you got to set it aside. And Loudbeard, I was proud of us. I was listening to our episode on, I think it was Friday. You and I got into a heated debate about the Tampa Bay Rays and splitting cities and everything else. And then we set our differences aside, and we continued on with the show, and we've done so ever since.
Yeah, that's how we roll, man. That's part of being a consummate professional, Chris America. That's what we roll. That's how we roll. And you know what? I'm going to roll into another topic here for you real quick.
All right, let's do it.
I think the Major League Baseball has a hugging problem.
Okay.
Yes, they have a hugging problem. The problem is women in the stadiums have just this sudden urge to run out and hug Cody Bellinger. The guy is very huggable. And now, for 2 consecutive nights in a row, a woman has run onto the field in the middle of the game, Chris America, and given Cody Bellinger a big hug. Do you think that this is going to become an epidemic, that women all across the world are going to come and hug Cody Bellinger at every Major League Baseball game?
Do you think there's like a secret internet challenge out there that's Hug Cody Bellinger challenge that women have? Like on like a special
I was thinking about that.
secret Reddit?
I was thinking about that. Like, what about moving forward? It's like a ongoing thing where at every stadium he goes to, like somebody has to go out and hug him. Otherwise, your team loses. Like it's a superstition.
Now, if you're like, I don't know, 18 to 25, no kids, no husband or wife, even if you have a husband or wife, just no kids, no real serious job, like you're working at like, you know, in like a Starbucks or something, I think it's totally worth it to go out there, give them the hug, and take the misdemeanor arrest. Because then you have that story for the rest of your life. And
That's
like,
true. And
and
there's
it's
video
just like,
evidence.
oh, we have you you have a misdemeanor. Yeah, I jumped down into a MLB stadium and I hugged Cody Bellinger. Okay, that's fine. You're still hired. Like it's not something that's gonna ruin your life. Totally worth it.
Yeah.
It might even actually get you hired at the job when they do your background check and like, oh, we see you have a misdemeanor arrest back in like 10 years ago. What's that all about? Yeah, I jumped the fence and I hugged Cody Bellinger. Really? That's an amazing story. Please tell me all about it. And then you're hired.
I think it would be fantastic for Major League Baseball. It bring some excitement back. Like maybe this is the excitement we need.
I don't know that as MLB that you want fans jumping over the fence and running at your players, because then there's like that one fan that might not have good intentions of just giving a hug.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But I think overall we kind of want to see that, right? Societal wise. Now, if you're Cody Bellinger, do you think that's a way to get into his head? Like you said, a superstition kind of thing, but now like Cody, every time he goes to an away stadium, he's kind of got to be like looking over his shoulder, like, okay, when's that fan coming? It makes him kind of paranoid. I'd be paranoid I'd be paranoid if like just random people jumped out of the crowd and just came at me, and like it's only me that they're coming at.
Well, here's a twist to the story, Chris America.
Ooh, I like twists. Is it an M. Night Shyamalan ding dong twist?
Cody Bellinger admits that his hugs aren't that great.
No. That's actually a power move right there. That's what I do, honestly. You downplay how good your stuff is to women. So that way, again, theory of expectation, relativity, buddy, you surprise them with it. When they're expecting something bad and you hit them with something great, or even just something good, it seems great.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be like, oh, his hugs aren't that great, but I just want to run out in the field and give him a hug anyway. Then they get that hug, and they're like, oh, my God, this was the greatest hug I've ever had. This guy is the hug master. He's the hug guru.
Yeah.
I don't know what other word I can use to describe it, but he is a hugalicious.
So, Loudbeard, who would be the athlete that you would be willing to jump over the stands or the fence and go run and give a hug?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think it would have to be my new man crush, Patrick Mahomes, without a doubt. I can't be president of the Patrick Mahomes fan club if he's not my guy that I want to run out and give a hug to.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to have to cross the line here and say that as guys, it's not cool doing it with anybody. Like, if you go and do it with a woman, all of a sudden you're a creeper. If you go and do it with another man, it turns into something that it shouldn't be.
No,
but for
a woman to
go out and do it with a man.
There's bro hugs. You got to go in right. Like, you can't go in low. If you go in low for the hug, then that's kind of weird. But if you kind of like,
you would go in low because he's taller than you.
That's true. But no. Like, you make an effort to go in low is what I mean.
What if you tripped and then stumbled into lowness? That was like an awkward lowness. And that you became an internet meme.
Now you reminded me of a scene from The Office where Pam thought that Jim was interested in this new girl, and he wouldn't admit that she was attractive. And so Dwight is like, I'll find out for you. And then Dwight like trips and acts like he's falling and then grabs Jim's crotch to see to see what's going on down there. And he's like totally flaccid. He's not interested in her. And she's like, that's the way you're finding out.
Yes, that is just like you and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Totally awkward. Well, I'm glad we fixed that hugging problem in the Major League Baseball. Cody Bellinger, man, that's such a tough life to live. You're rookie of the year 1 year, the next year you're getting hugs from random women out of the stands.
Is he even good? Good looking at? I
Hard
don't even know
Knock
what this
Life.
guy looks like. This is what's wrong with baseball, is that their athletes are unrecognizable.
Okay, I'm going to put this out there for you. Women are running onto the field to come and give him a hug. Do you think he's good looking?
No, I'm looking
that
at
in
him,
itself
man.
should
No,
answer.
honestly, I'm looking at him. It's It's not that great.
You would swipe right.
No, I mean, Evan Longoria now. I'd go out and give that man a hug.
You have lots of hugs to give.
Yeah, I'm just looking at him. He's like maybe a 6. I've seen many more celebrities who are attractive. I am looking at a picture of a woman hugging him, and then there's like a security guard. He's going in low on the woman, which I think that's the security guard copping a feel, because this chick can't be more than like 115 pounds. So you really don't need to be putting in like this full-on tackle effort, spearing this woman to get him off of her. Like, just kind of grab her by the belt loop and just pull her off. It's that easy.
It's that easy, huh? Just like this
Just like-
show was easy,
It was easy.
and now it's gone.
And now it's on. Thank you for listening. If you didn't catch us, make sure you tune into Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher. Am I missing one? I feel like I'm always missing one. ScottTeamRadio.com. Find all of our shows. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.